Until you heal your feminine energy wounds, nothing you do will feel fully aligned in your relationships, in your love life, in your finances, in your career, in your happiness. I didn't realize how much my own feminine energy wounds were blocking me until I was able to heal them and experience the miraculous shifts that created in every part of my life. So, if you have been doing the inner work, the spiritual work, even feminine energy work, and you're still finding yourself getting frustrated, feeling stuck, right? Like things are still off, or you're repeating those same old patterns, I've got you. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the top 7 feminine energy wounds that we tend to experience as women that I have experienced and healed. I've been helping women since 2012. Thousands of my clients have shown that these patterns keep coming up for us. It's not our fault. We all go through things that create these wounds inside of us. But the most important thing to remember is that not only can you heal them, but the sacred feminine healing pathway will empower you so much that your wounds end up becoming catalysts to not only your healing, but your transformation, your liberation into miracle manifestations in every part of your life. I'm also going to share with you some extra affirmations, some divine feminine healing affirmations, so that, we can start clearing the energy for you right here, right now. Welcome, Goddess. My name is Saima Karal, and I am a divine feminine mentor and healer. I help women just like yourself to heal your greatest blocks, manifest your boldest dreams, be and have it all, flourish into the goddess you are. You can visit me at flourishinggoddess.com and sign up for my email list so that you can start receiving my Flourishing Goddess meditations. We can start clearing up that feminine energy and activate your love, abundance, beauty, intuition, magic, and all your feminine gifts. Okay, let's get started. So the first feminine energy wound that we tend to experience as women is the overgiving wound. I want you to tell me in the comments if you've experienced this or it's something you struggle with. Overgiving can happen in our relationships. It can happen in any role that we're playing, even professionally, over giving up your energy, your time, your emotional resources. Over giving in every way is something that is an imbalance of feminine energy. And yes, we are very nurturing and, we love to pour our love, our energy, our attention into the people and the things that we care about. But overgiving is a distortion of that energy, right? So the gift is feminine nurturing, but the shadow or the wound is then we overgive. We might become rescuers or fixers. We might even find that we are consciously or unconsciously attracting relationships or situations where we are the one who's, there's that imbalance, right? And we are pouring in, giving in so much, but not, there's that reciprocity, that balance is not there. And this, again, can be in our personal relationships, professional, and in every part of our life, our friendships. And so what's happening at the root here that needs to be healed is a self-worth issue, right? So for myself, I have experienced this many now decades ago, thankfully, because of my healing journey. And I've noticed this in my clients. My clients are really heart-centered and very empathic, soulful, sensitive, spiritual women, and I'll even be very successful and high achieving. All of us, I think, as women, we just tend to be natural givers. And when this gets distorted, though, what happens is we have this deep unworthiness wound. And whether or not we realize it, we're overcompensating by proving, by people pleasing, just by giving to the extent that it doesn't feel like when we're giving from nurturing, it feels joyful and generous. But when we're over giving, we end up feeling depleted, drained, burnt out, resentful, bitter even. And so tied to this wound of the unworthiness that we can experience, also sacrifice or this need to feel needed. Like my value comes in how much I give, and that helps me to feel needed. This is where we need to do the healing, goddesses. We need to do the healing around this self-worth wound. Now, in my work with my clients, we do deep inner child healing work. We do past life healing work. We do this healing on every level to clear this. I think a lot of us just struggle with that self-worth, whether or not we realize it. But sacred feminine healing, and I'm going to take us to an affirmation right now around the self-worth, is to remember that you are worthy just because you are. Your worth does not come from what you do, what you give, what you contribute. Your value does not come from that. You are inherently worthy and valuable. And what's so beautiful about the divine feminine path, the goddess path, is that the goddesses, right? They remind us, like Aphrodite, Lakshmi, Tara, Kuan Yin. I do a lot of, my work is to do goddess work. The deeper goddess healing work that we do around here is a remembrance. I'm worthy just because I am. Your worth is inherent, innate, infinite, and divine. And what's so beautiful and life-changing about the goddess path, the divine feminine path, is whether you connect with goddesses as energies and as archetypes, deities, I connect with them on every level. The goddesses, the divine feminine, reminds you that you are a daughter of the divine. Your worth is infinite and divine because of who you are and whose you are, not what you do, not what happened to you, right? Not how much you give, but it's a return to your divine nature, your divine truth. And what's so beautiful about all the healing work and the wounds that I'll share with you is that ultimately they become a return to the truth of who you are. So let's do some goddess affirmations right now to help you to clear away the pattern, the wounding around overgiving, and the deeper root cause around the self-worth behind that. Place your hands on your heart and your womb. And just offer yourself grace wherever you've been in this pattern of overgiving, or if not overgiving, just wherever you feel unworthiness show up for you. Breathing into your heart space. Have one hand on your womb, with your belly if you wish, affirming, I am worthy just because I am. I do not need to prove or earn my worth. I am divinely worthy. I am innately worthy. I am infinitely worthy. I am daughter of the divine. I am the expression and embodiment of the divine. I am the goddess herself embodied. And I now return to my divine truth and my innate, infinite worthiness. If you're already beginning to feel a shift, the next one that we tend to experience is actually the warrior. And this is when you were the one in charge. You were the one taking care of everything. You might feel like you're actually in hyper masculine energy, but there are, of course, warrior goddesses like Kali Ma and Sekhmet. But it's the warrior goddess energy, right, is really empowering. It's liberating. But when it gets distorted, when we have a wounded feminine energy around this, it's no longer that we're operating from strength and divine feminine power, but we're acting from survival. We're in survival mode. We don't feel safe unless we're in control. We don't trust life, others to support us, right? So there's a deep inherent feeling around needing to feel safe and not feeling safe unless you're in charge. And so taking on so much more and being in survival mode, this is something I've experienced. I had a lot of childhood trauma. And so, then you end up is part of that wounding operating out of fear and survival. We operate from this because somewhere along the road in our journey, we learned that safety comes from control. It comes from pushing through and persevering. And yes, in life, sometimes we do need to persevere, right? That's what these warrior goddesses do. But there's a place where it comes from power. And there's another place when it's wounded where it comes from fear. Let me know in the comments if this is something that you struggle with, where you're feeling like you have to fight, like things are a battle, even things that should be fun and beautiful, your love life or your finances, getting a job or, flourishing in your business or getting pregnant. For myself, my fertility journey was a 7-year journey where there's even terms called fertility warriors and IVF warriors. And I had to give that up and say, I'm not going to be an IVF warrior. I'm going to be an IVF goddess. And when I finally did get pregnant, there were so many miracles that opened up for me, right? That did include IVF, but I IVF'd on my own terms from pleasure, from softness, from trust. I trusted my body. I trusted my baby soul. I trusted everything, including then having the trust to not do all the obsessive or not obsessive, but like there's so many rules, right? So yes, I was like following my medical protocol, but I wasn't doing all these things that felt like a battle. Like I have to do acupuncture and you have to give up gluten and all these different foods and you can't have bath and you can't get massages. And I said like, I'm doing this IVF from softness, from surrender, from pleasure even. So the healing around the warrior wound is to remember what the goddesses teach us. Galima's here. I'll show you her image to my book, Goddess Reclaimed. And as much as she is fierce for your liberation, right? It's actually to liberate you from patterns of fear and sacrifice and self-sabotage, right? So let's get into some beautiful affirmations, inviting you to place your hands on your heart womb. Shifting out of the warrior wounded energy, out of the survival mode, the pushing, the hyper masculine, the overdoing, the constantly striving, struggling, battling. I now allow myself to soften. It is safe for me to be. It is safe for me to trust. It is safe for things to be easy. It is safe for me to have what I want easily and joyfully and in abundance. It is safe for me to be submitted. It is safe for me to let go, to be a goddess, to be my feminine flow, my ease, my trust, my softness. It is safe for me to open to miracles. I hope you're feeling some softness. I hope you're feeling some shifts, getting out of that hypermasculine and survival and wounded warrior energy into more softness, more trust, more ease and flow. And a reminder, please come on over to my website, flourishinggoddess.com. When you join my email list, I'm going to immediately gift you my goddess meditation. I'm going to guide you through all your feminine energy centers and clear out energy where there's an imbalance, where you may be stuck or blocked, and open you to your divine feminine gifts of more love, more ease, more flow, more abundance, more beauty, more magic, more intuition, just all your beautiful feminine gifts. So please make sure that you gift that to yourself. And that drops us right into the next wound, which is a wound of shame and guilt, especially around desire. So we can call this the desire wound or the shame and guilt wound. We have been programmed so much for so long as women that it is selfish or superficial or sinful even to want, to have desires, to want pleasure, to want love, to want wealth, to want abundance, to want beauty, to want freedom, whatever it is you want, right? Or we might feel awkward or uncomfortable in receiving, whether it's a compliment, whether it's help or support, money, abundance. If you feel any kind of resistance come up, there might be part of your life where it's really easy for you to receive, but I would love for you to reflect on where is it a little uncomfortable to receive? Where is it uncomfortable for you to allow yourself to want what you want? Of course, the healing is clearing this internalized shame that is not yours, right? That it's not good to want things. That even, certain masculine traditions, there are these values around just not focusing on the earthly or even denying the earthly, or that it's sinful, and we should just always be aspiring for these higher, lofty, like spiritual, ascension levels. But what's earthly is just, it's diminished, it's minimized, or it's condemned. And the goddess says your desires are sacred. The goddess, just Aphrodite, Lakshmi, Venus, right? Oshun, there are goddesses and all these names who will remind you that Your desire is enough, your desire is worthy, and your desire is holy. In my work right now, we're doing the womb priestess training, but in so much of my work right now, the womb priestess, this specific sacred initiation around your desire. I think it's like the first one we do. There are 9 initiations. There's 3 gifts, feminine gifts we awaken through each portal. And one of the first of the 3 is desire as sacred. And it's a priestessing journey. And we root back into ancient priestess traditions, including Aphrodite's temples, where there are divine ancient women have been doing this since ancient times. We have, not been taught this wisdom. So we have to relearn it. But your desire is sacred. It was revered. There are rituals and goddesses devoted to the sacredness of desire for everything. Your sexual desires, your sensual desires, your pleasure desires, your money desires, your spiritual desires, your desires to be of service. Everything is equally holy. In the Vedic tradition, we call it Kama. There's actually a god called Kama, the god of desire, right? So desire, and Lakshmi, the goddess, one of her hands represents Kama. She says, I will shower you with abundance. Ask for what you want. So the healing comes around, of course, healing the internalized guilt and shame. I have so much of this, a lot of religious, programming around sin and shame and guilt, a lot of wounding. I've experienced, unfortunately, childhood sexual abuse as well. And so there was so much trauma and wounding around body shame and how that got lodged in my womb, how so many of my clients, we have this, as women, we can internalize so much unnatural shame and guilt around desire. The goddess is here to remind you, you have every right to desire, and you must, because your desire is a goddess. Your desire is a goddess. Your desire for love, for beauty, for wealth, health, happiness, freedom, there's a goddess for that. And so what if we shift this as your desire is holy, your desire is the goddess herself wanting to experience and express herself through you. So let's get into that. All right. So bring your hands wherever they feel good and goddessy for you. Heart, wall, and affirming. I now allow myself to release all internalized shame and guilt. I allow this healing to begin. I allow myself to be free of this. And I reclaim my divine right. Everything I desire. My earthly desires, my spiritual desires, my heart's desires, my body's desires, my womb, my yoni's desires. I give myself full permission to want what I want. Joy, unapologetic and full desire is not just safe, but as safe as goddess herself. The next wound that so many of us go through is a scarcity wound. So this is when we are disconnected from our divine feminine truth as abundance, right? So there are goddesses of abundance, Pachamama, Gaia, Demeter. Look to the earth, right? Look to the cosmos. Abundance is natural. Abundance is who you are. And why I love what's been so healing for me on the goddess path is the reclamation of abundance, not just as natural, but as sacred and holy. And the wounding comes around scarcity. We feel like, again, you have to earn your good, you have to prove, you have to hustle, you have to grind, you have to struggle, you have to suffer, and still maybe get stuck in patterns of scarcity, of not enough. This could be money, but it could also be in love. And tell me in the comments where you are experiencing, if you are, the scarcity wound, in what part of your life. And the divine feminine cure, the healing, is returning to your wholeness. You are already whole. You are one with Lakshmi, with Pachamama, with Mother Earth, with all the goddesses of abundance. You are daughter of the divine. You are part of this universe. I think our disconnect comes from the separation, the wounding of separation. And I think that it's just like a human condition. One of our greatest woundings is that we feel separate from our source, our divine source. And you can call that source God, life, universe, love, spirit, right? I connect to it. What's most resonant for me is the divine, or Mother, Father, God, or God, Goddess, right? And the divine feminine healing is, you're not just worthy of abundance in every part of your life, but that when you be quiet enough, when you release the false programming, the fears, the separation, the disconnect, the illusions, you return home to your divine truth. I am one with abundance. I am one with the infinite source of infinite abundance, all good. That is what the goddess Lakshmi represents. And so many goddesses of abundance, right? Like Pachamama, it's just bounty, bounteousness, and beauty, and creativity, and lushness, and fruition, and fullness. And you deserve more than to just have your needs met to get by, right? You deserve overflow, because this is your nature. You are a goddess. That's why goddesses like Aphrodite, Venus, they are birthed in that sea, right? The goddesses and their imagery, their symbols, their myths, their stories are here to remind us of our nature as women. And that sea represents that you come from the infinite ocean of all abundance. And that ocean is inside of you. So that's what I'm loving doing in our womb priestess training as well, is this abundance as source. Like the source is within, and connecting to that, especially as women within our womb space, is so magical and profound. I've done a lot of scarcity healing work and abundance, reclamation work, but the greatest feminine way of healing that scarcity wound comes from into the heart and the womb and that remembrance. So let's drop you in, placing your hands, either both hands on your womb or one on your heart. Softening your breathing and affirming, I now release the wound of scarcity, the illusion of separation from the source of abundance that I am, and I return. I drop into my heart, to the infinite source of love that I am a part of, that I come from. And I drop into my womb. I remember my nature that's been shown to me through goddesses like Lakshmi, Aphrodite, ocean goddesses of abundance, earth goddesses of abundance, the cosmic, the all goddess, all abundance, that I am the goddess. I am one with infinite abundance. Yamanya, beautiful Yoruba goddess, the sea of all creation, mother of life. That is the source of my womb. My womb is so powerful. I am not meant to be in struggle, in sacrifice, or in scarcity. My nature, that is my own womb, that is my own source, is overflow of all good. And I now clear the patterns of scarcity, the feminine wound of scarcity, and am restored to my feminine truth as the source of abundance, inside and out. Hope that served you. I actually have a beautiful activation called Millionaire's Empress. Millionaire's Goddess Activation, and then I will program Millionaire's Empress. I'll leave links for you if you'd like to get started, because that is a beautiful, beautiful pathway for deep divine feminine energetic clearing and opening to miraculous millions, but more importantly, abundance, right? From your feminine. I had a goddess, one of my clients, share that when she watched the Millionaire's Goddess Activation, she received as a gift $1 million out of nowhere. That's how powerful this work is. And this is it. And she specifically said, Simon, when you were going through that part of us becoming Lakshmis in that process, that day she received it. The next wound that is very common for us women is the disconnection wound. And this is a disconnect very much from your intuition, from your body's wisdom. And so you're operating very much from your head, or even worse, giving your power away. You're looking to other people for that direction, or just you're not listening to your own intuition. You're not trusting it, or even if you feel your intuitive nudges, your intuition speaking to you, you don't trust it. Like, you don't actually take the step. You don't follow through. And there can be deep wounding here around either feeling cut off from your own innate divine feminine wisdom, intuition, your body intuition and wisdom, and living in your head, only doing things if you can like plan them out. So it's also being a little too much in that masculine energy. Masculine energy is great. We all have it. We all need it. But out of balance, it's like you're only operating from your head, from logic, what makes sense, even if your intuition is telling you to do something differently. And for a lot of us, right, we are either taught that, you can't forget intuition, do what makes sense, do what is logical. And our intuition actually doesn't make sense, that it is intuitive. It requires trusting and following. And my business, for example, is Flourish. Like, the best decisions I have ever made in my life were based on intuition, right? And trusting it. And the trust is because you don't know how things are going to turn out. You just trust it. In fact, I love my YouTube videos. The first YouTube video I ever made was purely intuition. It's my Manifesto Weight Love video. I think I made in 2012. It's how I started receiving my first online client, right? Like, back then, online work was not a thing. I did have a in-person practice in Toronto, and I had my beautiful client who is still my client, who has been with me through all my programs because she manifested her soulmate, has gotten married, is a mama now, has had so many promotions, and like, just she's like, every time she says to me, this is a joke, I know that the second I pay you, my miracles are gonna happen. But actually, the moment she joined my Awakened Goddess training, I did the second or third time she rejoined as an alumni. That day, she said, I paid. It's still in a testimony. You can see on my website. She said, I got pregnant after some infertility issues. And she's like, I just always know miracles are going to happen. She trusts her intuition, right? And I trusted my intuition to do things differently. Like, I had the 9-to-5 background. My background's also in psychology, but also in communications. And I was doing all the right things that made sense when I started my business to attract clients. Actually, at that time, I wasn't yet in the attraction mode. I was doing the masculine things. And it wasn't until I remember specifically my beloved husband was Valentine's, and he was making risotto or chocolate covered strawberries. And I felt so grateful. I remember thinking, I want every woman to have the most miraculous, beautiful, divine love story. I want her to have a man who like adores her, cherishes her, divine masculine partner. So how can I share this with everyone, right? I was doing blog posts, and I was contributing to online, written mediums. Like, I wanted to lead a meditation. So I just, from intuition and love and that Lakshmi overflow, like generosity, not like, how can I get or attract, but how can I give? How can I, just teach women that they deserve love? I made my first video. That was the beginning of attracting my soulmate clients. So let's drop you into trusting your intuition. Trusting your intuition requires slowing down, getting quiet. The first goddess in my book is Goddess Siege. She is a Gnostic goddess of stillness and silence. So we need to get quiet and still and really slow down, because as I believe it's Rumi who says, in stillness you will know the secrets of the days and nights. Seed, Aditi, these are goddesses of stillness, and they are the grandmothers. They're the ones through whom all the deities are birthed. What that tells us as women is that in the silence, in that dark void of stillness, is through which all that is meant to be birthed through you naturally is birthed, and it is beautiful and divine what comes through from that stillness, because in that stillness you slow down and you connect to divine. You open space, right? If we're not trusting our intuition, if we're in scarcity mode and the other wounds that I talked about and go, we're not creating the space for the divine to enter, for magic to enter, for synchronicity, for miracles, for everything we're like asking for and praying for is actually come in. So let's take a moment right now. And I'm just going to guide you to softening your breath. Feel your breath as it flows through you. Feel your chest rise and fall. Drop your breath so softly deep into your womb that perhaps you can feel your belly rise and fall as your breath deepens. No strain, just softening, simply by bringing your awareness to your womb. Maybe you notice your breath just deepens, affirming it is safe for me to slow down. I release any fears around being still. It is safe for me to get quiet, to listen to my body's wisdom and my soul's messages, my divine intuition. And take a moment now, be in silence together as you listen. Just trust. Just trust that by being still in this single moment, you've activated your intuition. You've shifted out of disconnect or distrust and dropped into your feminine. I hope that supported you. A beautiful goddess, if you love to connect with goddesses, is Goddess Isis. It's just one of so many that can support you and guide you on your path of connecting with your intuition. In my book, you'll find her at the last 13th initiation. So my book is Goddess Reclaimed, 13 initiations to reclaim your divine feminine power, to unleash your divine feminine power. And I guide you through a specific goddess who takes you on this incredible, life-changing, transformational journey rooted in divine feminine alchemy, transformation, embodiment into you taking your throne as queen goddess, meaning Isis, with your intuition fully awakened and all of your feminine gifts awakened. And by the way, if there are any topics here that you would love for me to expand on, let me know in the comments. I'll be so happy to make deeper videos on intuition or abundance or any of these other gifts that are coming up for you around the feminine. The next wound is actually one of my favorites to work with. It's the radiance wound. And this is where you're too afraid to be extra. You're too afraid to be bold. And your visibility, your voice, your expression, you're stifling it because there was some wounding, some learning along our path where we felt like it was not safe to be yourself, right? It was not safe to shine, to express yourself fully. And this is where I love to bring in Goddess Inanna, the queen of heaven and earth, or Goddess Lilith, the freaking badass, the wild woman who will unleash your raw, fullest, unapologetic, boldest expression. Goddesses like Freya, there's a goddess for everything. You know what my next video, by the way, is going to be? How to activate your divine feminine energy with the goddesses, because it is so magical. So make sure you subscribe as well. But like the goddesses that are helping you with your radiance, you're like, come You are here to shine. All right. We are releasing the hiding, the shrinking, the making yourself small, the being afraid to take up space, being afraid of being too much. My women, when they come to me, like I clear this in every way. It's something I'm very confident about because like in my manifesto weight loss program, right? When they come in, they're like, I'm dating and I act like this, or I don't say I want this, or I like might not say this or that because I don't want to scare men off or scare like if he's gonna get scared off by you being your fullest self, by you showing up as you are, right? And like this means if you're extra, then be extra, right? And don't like shrink that down. Or if you are really chill and mellow, don't try to be extra just to impress someone. One of the reasons I know I attracted my beloved and I attract soulmate clients. Like I work with the most amazing, wonderful, heart-centered, dream clients. And I know part of that is because I am fully myself. The other parts are like the overflow and the abundance. And I actually have a meditation called Attract Soulmate Clients, if that's something you're interested in. But it's like anyone we want to attract in our life, friendships, romantic partnerships, employers, clients, colleagues, like anyone and anything that you want in your life. Be fully you, right? Be fully you because here's the thing. When you are fully yourself, you become two things. You become a magnet to your divinely aligned right person, people, right? Soul group, friends, clients, lover, and very importantly, you repel those who are not for you, those who might judge you, those who might not like you, those who might think you're too much or this or too little that. And that is great because you're a freaking queen. And in your queendom, like when, my queens, when we go through our Awakened Goddess training, my 6-month Goddess Mystery School journey, I love how much they also celebrate not only what they manifest, but what they cleared and how much that frees up your energy. But this has to come from your own place of power, right? So being unafraid of your radiance, full radiance, shining in your full goddess glory. So let's get into our radiance goddess activation. Moving your body in every way that feels good to you. Bringing that extraness, your light, and just giving yourself grace wherever you have hid, wherever you have dimmed your light, wherever you made yourself small, wherever you haven't been vocal around your needs, fear of judgment, a fear of being seen or too much or abandoned. And the deeper wound is around being judged, and the deeper wound around that is the fear of abandonment. So let's clear this. Let's offer this for healing and clearing. It's safe for me to shine. It is safe and sacred and beautiful for me to be fully expressed, for me to be radiant, for me to have my voice heard, for me to take up space, for me to be in my full divine feminine expression and beautiful, radiant goddess glory. All right, I hope you're feeling lit up and bold and sexy and confident and radiant as the goddess that you are. And then the next one is the power wound. So this is connected as well to the warrior wound, but it's the other side of it. So when we have a feminine energy wound around our power, we are giving our power away. We are not setting boundaries. We are not saying no. We actually need that warrior, badass goddess energy, the wild woman energy. And I have another video on the feminine archetypes if you're curious about them. And I share with you where you might be in or out of balance, how to be in balance, what it means. So I'll link that for you as well. But this power wound is you're no longer available for you giving your power away. You're not giving your power away to other forces, other circumstances, right? It can also be, this is something I deeply, deeply struggled with because when I was a child, I was a victim. I think it's really important for us to acknowledge when something horrible happened to us, because I do find sometimes in this like spiritual self-help community, we say, you're not a victim, but actually, like, if a child is sexually assaulted, if a woman is sexually assaulted, if an assault or something happens, we need to acknowledge that something bad, something horrible happened, right? And so part of my healing was healing my inner girl, healing the horrible wounding, right? Not just the event. The event was other people's choices, but how that wounded me became part of me. And I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the support when I was a child, but by Goddess's grace, as I grew, I was 13 years old when I entered the Goddess path, right? And I remember it was through a book on astrology, and I learned that I'm a Taurus, and I'm a Taurus like everywhere in my chart, ruled by this goddess Aphrodite, who's a goddess of sexuality and power and beauty. And that was my initiation so early on that I'm so grateful for. And it gave me back my power in many ways, that my body is mine. No one has a right to abuse, assault, or have any say over my body. I reclaim my body as mine. I reclaim my power as mine. I reclaim my desires mine. So power is not just what we might associate with the warrior goddess, right? It's you being in your own sovereignty. You coming back to your power in your body, your power in your emotions, your power in every way. And then part of the healing became taking back my power, right? So acknowledging what happened as a child, but then we do have a choice as adults to not replay and relive with a victim consciousness and a victim way of being. So that is something I really had to intervene, and the goddess is supporting me in healing in adolescence, right? And I still give myself grace because it was PTSD, but where I was so grateful to be supported on my goddess journey was coming into my power, taking back my power. And there's so much healing that happened here, right? It's got alchemized me, and it's shared in my Awakened Goddess training as divine feminine alchemy, as healing, as rebirth, as inner child healing. It's just on every level. It's so important to us. But what this healing does is you take back your power, even when it involves eventually forgiveness, right? Before forgiveness, there's honoring your sacred rage and all these different steps that I have led myself through and lead my clients through. But eventually you take your power back. And when you take your power back, you remember that feminine power, unlike what it has been treated as, it's been treated like a threat, dangerous, untamable. And so the masculine, the patriarchy has tried to control and condemn and oppress and punish the expression of feminine power. So we take it back. We take it back starting with ourselves. So you're no longer compromising, settling, sacrificing, giving away your power, not having any boundaries. So you're fully centered in your divine feminine worth, value, power, radiance, right? All these wounds that we've been on this journey of healing, you reclaim yourself for yourself. And you remember that feminine power, not only is it not, unlovable, again, it is disruptive, but it needs to be, and it may repel those who are threatened by your feminine power, and that's okay. You still must stand in your power because it is your right, and it shifts everything. And you have a sacred right to say enough, to say this shit, say I'm done, I'm complete, I'm not available for this. No. A sovereign, sacred, clear no. There are so many goddesses that can support you here with this. Durga Ma, Sekhmet, and even the love goddesses and Lakshmi, right? Because it just depends on where you are reclaiming your power. So let's take your hands and place them on your solar plexus. This is your power center energetically. It is the solar plexus chakra, yours, divine power. your worth and value, your will, your courage. Feel this lioness, tigeress, shining like a sun inside of you. As Goddess Sekhmet or Durga, these radiant goddesses of divine feminine power. And notice wherever you are giving your power away out of fear, to any situation, to any person, see your belly shine so brightly, like 1,000 suns. And see yourself rise. Actually feel yourself, your core becoming strong. Feel your spine becoming taller. Feel your posture shift. Relaxing your shoulders, tucking your chin in slightly, raising your crown to the sky, sitting like the queen, regal, powerful goddess that you are. Now start rubbing your belly, and anywhere you have been operating out of fear and giving away your power, now you're going to swipe your hands across your belly. Shake your hands out. Time. Shake it out. Shake it out. Get that energy out. And bring your hands back. And feel this radiance shining through, your divine feminine power and light and sovereignty and courage shining through. So warrior, queen, goddess. Affirming, I reclaim my divine feminine power. It is safe and sacred for me to be powerful. I now say no to all that disempowers me, that disrespects me, that drains me in any way. Anything that dishonors me, I am no longer available for. Inner or outer situations, I am done, I am complete, and I am free. I now rest in my power, I rise in my power, I shine my radiant, divine feminine power in all ways. Stick your tongue out like a lioness. And your power gets to be fun and natural. How are you feeling now? These are just little mini activations. So in my world, in the Flourishing Goddess Temple, when you come to my website, you can explore so many beautiful offerings. I have Goddess Circles. I've got my book, Goddess Reclaimed. The deepest, most profound journey is my Awakened Goddess training. But I would love for you to get started with my private, deep goddess meditation at flourishinggoddess.com. When you sign up for my email list, right? So you're going to get started with this beautiful meditation. And then there's more along the journey that I only share with my insider queen goddesses. So these were the top 7 wounds that I have healed myself and observed through my clients. And they show up in so many different ways and so many different patterns. And I want you to share with me with some reflections around which of these wounds are you most ready to heal right now, right? Which ones are you facing? Which ones are you struggling with? If there are ways that you'd like me to go deeper, tell me in the comments. So I'd be so happy to consider them for future video topics for you as well. I'll also create a playlist for you around more videos specifically for feminine energy healing or other things that can support you, so you can binge watch those and just soak up all this beautiful healing, divine feminine wisdom and energy. And of course, subscribe. Please share this with any women in your life that you feel like need that dose of feminine inspiration power as well. In my next video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to activate your divine feminine energy with the goddesses. It's going to be so beautiful. It's going to be so life-changing, because once we connect to the divine feminine in our energy, archetypally, spiritually, with the goddesses, you just got a taste of it here. Just everything shifts so beautifully, magically, miraculously. So I hope you subscribe, and thank you so much for being here. I hope this deeply served you, and I'll see you in my next video. Namaste, goddess.